Hello, my name is Nicole Whitlock. I'm with eCom Sellers Academy. And tonight, this is part two of, or today it's part two of our private label, white label workshop. And so your co-hosts tonight are Nicole Whitlock and Miss Renata Darden. Hey, Miss Renata.
Hello, Miss Nicole. Hey, y'all.
All right, so we're going to go ahead and get started. So last week we went over white label and we gave some examples of what white label is. And we went over, we showed some examples of white label opportunities. We talked about the advantages and disadvantages of white label. And then we talked about some sourcing strategies for white label, where you could source from potentially, and then some white label product ideas. So tonight we're actually going over private label, and we're going to be talking about what private label is. We're going to get some examples of what private label is. We're going to talk about the advantages and disadvantages of private label and give you some additional sourcing strategies and product ideas for white label. So let's get started. So what is private label? So private label is a product that is manufactured by a contract or third-party manufacturer and sold under your brand name. So you may actually create, you may develop, you may be an inventor, and you create a product that people may buy. It's under your brand name, your company. It's got all of your company colors, logo, everything, packaging, branding, and the product is sold under you. Or you may have an arrangement with a manufacturer, or maybe you didn't do all of the development, design, 100% of the creation, but you did a significant amount of it. And you work with a manufacturer to produce this product with your name on it. So as a creator, you specify everything about the product, everything from, the dimensions, the color, the size, the texture, everything about it. And then you also own the brand that is creating it. Your manufacturers agreed to put your brand name on the product, all the packaging, and all of that. So you're paying for everything. You're paying for all of the work that you've done for the development of the product, all of the design, the branding for the product, the design, or the creation of it, even the product research that's behind that. You're paying for all of that, and it's under your name. So private label products are available in a wide range of industries, food to cosmetics and even more. And they're typically private label or sold at a lower cost, or to manage cost, a cost that's negotiated, not necessarily negotiated, but you've negotiated with your manufacturer to produce the product at a certain price, so then that way you can sell it with a profit margin. So there's a lot of different private label products that are out there. All the private label products, they started from somewhere. So Apple started somewhere a long time ago, Steve Jobs, and now we have a boatload of well-known branded products from Apple. Legos, again, started from somewhere, and now it's owned by Disney. Again, a lot of well-known examples of Lego toys, but again, it started somewhere. Hamilton Beach, again, is a well-known brand, and the design, the concept of creating a crock pot started somewhere. And then also you have all of these awesome food brands that, again, somebody created something, someone worked with a manufacturer, they own their own manufacturing plant, and now it's their own brand. So private label can be any number of things. You may have an idea, you may have a concept in mind for private label, and this is your opportunity to actually just step into it and make it become something that's going to be amazing for you. So what's the difference between white label and private label? So the private label is a brand that's sold exclusively in one retailer or specific retailers where you've been approved to be able to get your products into those retailers. They can also be sold online. Maybe you have a private label product that's only sold, online. But again, you have more control and it's more exclusive. Whereas white label products are pretty generic and they can be sold by multiple manufacturers, and different people can put their names on the same product that's being mass produced with different labels on it. So that's the difference between white label and private label, something that's exclusive for you, developed just for you, designed maybe by you, maybe you're the inventor of it. And that would be a good example of a private label product. So Ms. Renata, I'll let you take it away.
So private label is something that we're bringing to you tonight, but we want you to know that it is way more common than you think. A lot of times when you hear a private label in the e-commerce arena, you're thinking about specific things, but in this training, we want to give you an idea of how much more common it is than you may have thought about in the past. So it is not a new concept. It happens all the time. So we'll talk about some of those that you've probably seen and didn't think of as their private label. But Costco has their own brand, and it consists of everything from clothing items to food items. Kirkland Signature generates about a quarter of Costco's wholesale sales. So Costco is a wholesale club, and they have their own brand. That's their private label, and it generates about a fourth of their sales. So that's a pretty big chunk of what Costco actually does. If you shop at all in Walmart, you've heard of Great Value or their Equate. And so their Great Value is kind of their grocery line. Equate is more of the along the lines of personal goods, personal items, things that you might find in your linen closet or your medicine cabinet. And about 84% of Walmart's customers purchase their own private label. They purchase Walmart brand as opposed to some of the national brands. When you walk in there, I know just as a good example, Equate makes their own aspirin. So buying Equate over, let's say, a Johnson & Johnson, is that the baby aspirin? And then Amazon Basics. If you shop on Amazon, you're looking for something, Amazon does a really good job because they own the arena where you search for something. And if they have that item that they've private labeled, they're going to push that to the top of your search. So those are private label brands that you may not have even realized existed, but whatever it is that you're looking for on Amazon, if they have it and it's their item, they're going to make sure that you get to see that item. And then according to the Private Label Manufacturers Association, the market share has reached nearly 25% of unit sales in the US and is expanding faster than national brands. So that says a lot about not just the consumer shopping habits, but how great of a job these companies are doing at actually putting their items in front of you. So that's a great little tidbit there in terms of how often this actually happens. So you're asking yourself, okay, this is all great, Renata and Nicole, but why do I want to private label? So if you are looking at e-commerce at all as a business model, as opposed to a brick and mortar store or as opposed to doing something else, then you are probably already familiar with buying things online. You've done that in the past. And so now you're considering being one of those people on the other end of the cash register, as we like to say. So have you considered this when you're thinking about that having your own product is essentially like turning the internet into your business partner, that every time someone is out there searching for something on the internet that is the product that you would like to or intend to private label, that the internet is going to be in business with you, that they're going to actually bring those sales to you. And so selling your own product is a great way to create passive income. It's not going to be something where you're standing in a store with store hours and an open and close sign and waiting for someone to come in and buy your wares. So before we dive into the how, it's important to note that when we talk about private label, this is not a get rich quick strategy. You hear all the major e-commerce gurus out here talking about how to make all this money on Amazon and how they're doing the research and they're finding the product and they're putting them up there and they're just getting all these gobs of money and they're driving these Lambos and living in mansions or whatever. We want you to know that it is absolutely possible, but it takes diligence, patience, and a willingness to see whatever your idea is, a single idea through from start to finish. No bouncing around, no jumping around, no thinking about, goobers while you're working on this. It is clearly something where you're going to take an item from soup to nuts from start to finish. And so you're going to need to set your expectation accordingly. And if you do all of these things, we're going to get into the how, but it will definitely increase your chance of success. What we're going to show you tonight is we want you to know that this is simple, that there's a simple process. And so there's steps to it. We like to say simple does not equate to easy. There's a lot of hard work that goes into this, but it's just a matter of finding the process, and following it.
Absolutely. So some of the advantages of just deciding that you're going to do private label is, of course, some of the research. So as you start this journey of deciding that you're going to actually private label a product, maybe you've got an idea, maybe you are an inventor. So I think of like Amy Weiss, who some of us know. She created some type of, I'm not a cat person, cat just litter, this but she invented it. She went to someone, she designed, worked with them to design the specs. She got some mock-ups for it. She got a couple of different examples. She even had the opportunity to go on Shark Tank. Again, when you think about these people, there are people that invent something that's brand new, that's never been used before. Some people take existing things and can kind of make modifications to it and make it their own private label. Maybe you work with a chemist and you're a person that's lucky enough to come up with a combination that's going to help teenagers with acne, and it's something better than what's already out there. You get some teenagers in high schools to try it, put it on their social media, it blows up. Now you got to mass produce it. So having that kind of luck, coming up with that idea, that concept, the research itself can yield you lots and lots of positive results that will help you make lots and lots of money. But it is research that you do have to do. And so that research can reveal an open area, an open market, or a market that needs to be served and no one is doing it, a pain point that hasn't been addressed, or solution that a specific group of people are looking for. And so when that research reveals that, that means that you are going to reduce your competition. If you're going to develop or create something that you're going to reduce competition. Everybody's not going to be on the listing. It's not going to be sold everywhere. It is going to be your baby, something that you create. That means you got to do all the work to get it all going. But again, it's going to be your baby. You have the opportunity to increase your margins. If there's no competition, you don't have to worry about people piggybacking off your listing, and you can sell it for the price in which you feel that you want to receive for that particular product. I know that Amy has his philosophy of making sure that her profit margins are anywhere to 7 times to 11 times her cost. So I think that that is actually amazing to do 7 to 11 times your cost. That means you can charge more for something because you've negotiated the production of it with a manufacturing plant to get all of the pieces and the components, including the packaging, down to something affordable so you can have amazing profit margins, which means it's going to increase your compensation on the other side. And then you can also make deals, like you will be in complete control on what promotions you want to do. So we have Prime Day is coming up, and there's going to be a lot of people that are going to offer sales. Private label people who already have amazing margins will be able to mark things down and get more sales, which will increase the amount of money they're going to get anyway. Even though they mark the price down just a little, people will perceive that as a bargain, and there's going to be more people buying it. You have the opportunity to build your brand and build your brand ownership. So there's going to be a lot of work that goes into building a brand. You've got to buy a domain, you got to do some trademark research, you've got to create a logo. Once you do that, you've got to work on a website, you got to develop your product. So that's another piece, but there's work that's involved. But again, you will own that brand. So when you think about when Apple first started and what they look like now, like it was just a completely different thing. It was a completely different thing. What it looks like now and what it looked like back then, I mean, we would consider that trash, but at the time, they were really good at marketing. And so you will find that on this journey, there's going to be marketing that you're going to do as a private label seller. But again, building your brand so it becomes something that you can either leave to your family, will to your kids, or that somebody can buy you out maybe, or you just, keep it forever. Your decision, how you want to do it. And then you can also build customer loyalty. Consumer loyalty is such a big thing. I think there's something happening in the other room, but consumer loyalty. So that is huge. People are loyal to Coca-Cola over Pepsi. They like that brand. They like the taste. They like the bottle. They like the red and white versus the red, white, and blue, more blue than red. So again, building that customer loyalty and having people coming back to you. The disadvantages is the research. Like you got a lot of research that you've got to do, but that research is going to yield you money, but it is work. As Renata said, it is not going to necessarily be easy. So you're going to have to do a deep dive, and you're going to have to dig in, and you're going to discover maybe somebody, the product name that you wanted to have for this, or the brand that you want to create for this, maybe somebody else has already got that brand name and is using it. So you got to come up with your own brand name. What are you going to call this thing that you're developing? How many more are you going to create? Are you going to offer them in different colors? Like, there's a lot of work that goes into it. The development and design of it. That's work that's going to go into it. That's stuff you have to do. Trademarking and copywriting, I mentioned that. And then manufacturer research, trying to find a manufacturer and getting really good margins on it. Like, you may have something that maybe has screws in it, let's just say. And so people have to assemble it when it arrives. And so you have one manufacturer that's like, yeah, we can do all of the big pieces, but the small pieces with the screws, like, we're going to charge you $9 a screw. Where you can go to somebody else and be like, oh, no, we're going to charge you 30 cents a screw. So you got to do all of that negotiation with trying to figure out, am I getting all of my components from one manufacturer and relying on them for everything? Or am I having other manufacturers produce sub parts of this and then send it to the primary manufacturer for packaging and shipping? And then, minimum order quantities. So you're going to have some of your manufacturers or suppliers are going to say, you got to order this minimum number. And so that could create a situation where you have dead inventory. If you're not good at marketing, if the demand is not there, you didn't do enough good research up front, and you didn't make sure that there was an audience for the product that you want to sell or want to create or develop, then you're going to run into a problem where your inventory is just sitting there and not moving. So now you got 5,000 pallets of something you can't do anything with. Even if you bundled it together with something else, you're having a hard time moving, and 10 years later, you still got the inventory. So again, being able to do that research and test the market is going to be critical. But if you don't do it well, and you just jump into it, then you could be stuck with a lot of inventory and lost money. And then customer perception. So let's say you decide to go with a cheap manufacturer to produce your product. What if that manufacturer cuts a bunch of corners and your thing is a piece of crap? You have a boatload of returns. It breaks just after somebody puts the handle on it, or whatever they happen to do with it. If it's something you have to assemble, if it's something that they eat, or if it's something that they put on their face, you went with the cheap manufacturer. What is that going to do to your customer? So again, some of the disadvantages, because if it's not good quality, or if the customer perceives it's not good quality, or if they perceive your customer service sucks, or they perceive your packaging is awful, or they perceive your price is too high, then again, that's tied to your product, your brand, your everything. So you have to, have some knowledge in marketing and research in order to at least have some success at this process.
Can I jump in just a second?
Yeah.
Go back to that. Just want to make sure that you guys actually tie this back into what we talked about last week, just the difference between white label and private label. So in each of these steps that Nicole just talked to you about, these are big things that have to be done. But the biggest disadvantage that many people see, and the reason some people might either start with the white label side or even venture down that path, is the cost. So each one of these steps that Nicole just described to you has a cost associated with it. So when you look at the design and development, you got to look at how much time that's going to take. Time is money, and how much that's actually going to cost you, the trademark, the copyright, the legal fees that are going to go along with that. And so when you look at minimum orders and that sort of thing, private label requires upfront money. And when we looked last week, when we looked at white label, that was one of the advantages on the white label side, is just not having to put that money up front, because the product is already developed. All you're doing is changing the packaging, or not even the packaging, but just putting your label on it. So just want to make sure that you compare and contrast these when you get a chance, and go back and look at last week's training to make a decision on which of these models is going to work better for you. But just make sure that you know that there's going to be some additional costs and time. So the upfront payment, as well as waiting on your product to arrive if you're developing it on your own.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, Ms. Renata, great time to jump in.
So we just want to talk to you about some of the sourcing. Last week, we showed you some of how we do it on the white label side. So for private label, here's what I want you to know. This is not rocket science. If you type in manufacturers for just about any product, you're going to get a whole list. You can just Google it, but you're going to get a whole list of manufacturers that absolutely positively want your business. So when you come up with these great ideas about things that you'd actually like to put your label on, to put your brand on, people that you want to work with to get these products to market, you're going to be able to find them. But we're going to give you some strategies that we've had some luck with in the past, just to give you an idea. So you can find manufacturers in India. I know with the times that we're living in now, most of the people in the past have been telling you, you're going to want to get your items from China. We're going to give you some alternatives to that. And so India Mart is one. They do a lot of essential oils, topical things, that sort of thing, if you have an interest in that. But you're going to be able to find manufacturers in India on India Mart. And if you look just across the top, Nicole, I don't know if you can put your pointer over it, but just across the top of the screen there, it gives you different parts of India. So you can look in all of India, or you can look in Mumbai, you can look just in Bengaluru, or if you want, if you have a New Delhi or Delhi, if you have a specific area that you'd like to target, if you've got some people that are giving you referrals and you've talked to some people about some of these other regions in India, then you can actually drill it down to that. But if you just want to start out, this screenshot that I put up here is all of India. If you look at it right up there at the top next to the India Mart logo, this, you can just type in a search, whatever search string you want, to start looking for products that you can actually private label. And if you see right here on the India Mart website, it says what? Private label servicing. So this is their specialty. So all the questions that you have, trust me, when you get on here and you start looking around, this is what they specialize in. So they'll have things. If you go down this side, you've got different categories. If you go across the top, you've got the different regions. So it'll be, they're telling you what's actually popular. So you can search through here and find ideas. And so again, we're giving you sourcing strategies, but if you're struggling to find ideas, these websites that we're going to send you to, by all means, you're going to be able to look for products as well as suppliers.
Absolutely. The one thing I wanted to also mention is when you are sourcing, whether it be from India or China, so one little tip that may or may not be helpful. If you're sourcing from in the middle of the country, and let's just think about the United States, and the fact that India and China are bigger than the United States, let's just start with that. So if your manufacturer is in the middle of China, that means that there's going to be an increased cost to get it to the border, to get it across the sea, or to get it to the borders so that they can be flown out and go across the sea. Whereas if you work with manufacturers that are maybe on the port side of any of these countries, the heavy port, there's ports all the way around them, but some of the heavier ports that might be transporting to the US, then that can be somewhat of a reduced cost. So I want you to think about that as well when you're looking at whether it be China or India, that look at where that is in that country and how many hands does it have to go through just to get to the edge or get to the port of that country, just so it can either be shipped out or just so it can be flown out. Because if you're flying out from the middle of the country, and again, bigger than the United States, both of these countries, so you're going to fly out from the middle of the country to the edge to get on another plane to go across the ocean. If you're with a manufacturer that's already on the edges where the ports are or where the international flights are flying out from, then you have a better chance of managing your costs just a little bit more because fewer hands are touching it. So just keep that in mind as well. You also want to look for manufacturers that have been in business for a while. You want to find out how long they've been in business, and you want to weed out sometimes the distributors over manufacturers, because distributors are just people that are the middleman. They're not the ones that are actually making the product. So if you need modifications to it, you would go through a distributor who would then negotiate and work that out with the manufacturer. So make sure you're talking directly to a manufacturer as often as possible. Okay, unless you have someone an agent that's in those countries that's helping you with those discussions. I do want to say in India, we have Meghala, who's been on one of our summits. and she has a lot of connections in India. She also has connections in China. And we also have Taylor Offer, who has a lot of connections in China as well. So we do have, and so does Amy Weeks. So we have access to people who have a lot of connections. And if you want an agent that can help you in those countries to negotiate, then we have access to that. So I'll let you go ahead, Ms. Renata.
Okay, and so we're calling it a sourcing strategy, but these are just great ideas for where you can go to find products and suppliers. So you're going to be able to find suppliers on Thomasnet, and I thought I actually put the
URL.
Yeah, the URL in there, but it is going to be, it's over here on the other side. But Thomasnet is going to be another place that you can go to actually find those products. And if you look on the screen, they've got industrial products over 6 million. If you're looking at, things that you want to private label, they have a plethora of items that you can actually go in here to take a look at. And again, you're going to be able to search by suppliers. If you look over there to the left, you're actually going to be able to search for products. So you're going to search for suppliers. And if you've got a category company or brand in mind, you'll be able to do that over there by the search. Right there by suppliers. By category company or brand, if you've got any of those in mind, you'll be able to search all of their hundreds of thousands of items, depending on the category, millions of items, to find a supplier to work with.
Absolutely.
And these, all of these websites that we're giving you are, there's the access to these websites is actually free. There's no membership fee or any of that. You just set up an account, you get full access, and then, you start the conversation with the supplier.
Which is great.
So again, in the times that we're in, many people are asking about US manufacturers. Alibaba is a great place to actually be able to go and find suppliers. So you'll be able to go and, just like the previous website, you can search for products or suppliers as the screenshot shows, and you'll be able to actually enter the name of the product that you're looking for. So just because you're looking for something specific, whether that's a category company or brand, you'll still be able to search for suppliers for that product. So in other words, if you've got something very specific in mind, when you type it in, it's not just going to look for, a cat shovel or whatever. It's going to look for suppliers for that as well. And once you actually get in there and click on suppliers, Alibaba, one of the things I like about Alibaba is it's going to let you search by region. And again, there's so many places that you can go to get product. And this was just the bottom of the screen. I think there's about 30 different countries on Alibaba that you can actually find products and suppliers from. But if you scroll down toward the bottom, because the US, of course, to Alibaba is not at the top, but you'll be able to find the United States and actually get US suppliers that you'll be able to work with here in the US as far as manufacturing. So for some people, that's super important. You want to be able to put that made in the USA stamp on something, then this is a great place to come to actually look for those suppliers that you can work with, the manufacturers that will help you get that to market. Before you actually get to the place where you're wanting to choose a manufacturer, you're going to want to make sure that before you make that call, that you've already got your stuff together. You want to make sure that you've got your business license and your banking accounts already set up. If you don't have these items done before you make the call to the manufacturer, the chances of them actually sitting down at the table to negotiate with you, not at the table, but over the phone, to negotiate with you and actually get to the place where you're going to be able to get samples sent to you and really start digging in and getting the work done to get your product to market, that you may not be taken seriously. So you want to make sure that you've already got your bank account set up. You've already got your EIN, you've already got your licenses and anything that you're going to put with that. If you've got a trademark or any of that, that's already done before you pick up the phone and actually start this process. In order to get into negotiating specifics, you want to have everything on hand. If they're asking you for, your business information, you're talking to someone, in China, you don't want to have to put them on hold and say, oh, well, I've got it here in a folder. Let me flip through it and find out, which one of these folders I've got it in. Have everything ready to go. And then when you know that you've you already know that you have an item that you want to bring to market, you need to already be looking at who your third party logistics company or prep and fulfillment center is going to be. Because when you start talking to them about shipping, when you start talking to them about the logistics of getting the item, in the hands of the people that are going to be shipping it out, you want to know where that's going to be. You don't want to negotiate prices, because you live in California and then find out that you're wanting to use a prep center that's all the way on the East Coast in Pennsylvania. Those prices are going to be completely different. So you want to decide on that before you actually get to the point of choosing your manufacturer. And then you can get right on those websites and start that process, as we just mentioned. You want to make sure that you read the reviews. Alibaba does a great job of actually giving you the reviews from verified buyers, people that they've done business with, to make sure that you are actually, and again, doing your research. You want to check the specialization, and you want to see, like I mentioned with the India Mart, that they have a wide array of topical products, but you don't want to necessarily go with a jack of all trades when you're looking at manufacturer. You don't want to look at someone that does really well with industrial equipment if you're looking at, bringing a certain brand of lotion or something to market. They're not going to necessarily be your best bet. So you want to look at specialization, because then you know that they've got experience in the packaging, pardon me, the packaging and the logistics piece of the product that you're interested in. You want to make sure that you check the pricing. You don't want to just go with the first company that sounds good. You want to actually, it's just like getting a good faith estimate. You want to go and talk to several companies and see what the pricing is going to be like. We say all the time, make sure that you get samples. You want to make sure that you are actually experiencing that product for the first time the way that your consumer would. So you want to be able to receive it. You want to be able to touch it, feel it, see it, know what the packaging looks like, how easy it is to open. Once you open it, is it secure inside there? Are things bouncing around? You want to be able to take all of your ideas, notions, and things that you get from that experience, that customer experience, back to the manufacturer to be able to tweak it. When you're talking to the manufacturer, you want to make sure that you're actually checking with them to find out what their MOQs or minimum order quantities are. You don't want to deal with a company right off the bat that has a minimum order quantity of, let's say 3,500 of a specific item. I don't know if that's a large number, if they're, smaller items, but a very large number of something that you've never seen. You've never been able to touch it. You've never been able to feel it, smell it, do anything with it. You want to be able to start with someone that's going to give you a reasonable rate to get a smaller minimum order quantity. As Nicole just mentioned to you, you don't want to end up with a bunch of dead inventory because you're not fully able to market it and get it in the hands of the consumer. So you want to check on these things. And then what are your options? Nicole mentioned just a couple, but does that particular manufacturer have relationships, with carriers that are going to put it on in the shipping crates with 100 other people that are shipping from a certain region and put it on the ocean, or are they going to fly your items out to your 3PL or your prep center? So you want to know what your options are.
Absolutely. Sorry, my phone decided it was going to go off at this very moment because I have a set alarm and now I can't get to the button. There we go. There we go. I apologize for that. Okay.
So that's just it. We want to make sure that you're given a verified business name on their end as well. They're looking for you to have all your ducks in a row. You want to actually ask them for the same courtesy that they're going to be looking for from you. You want to make sure that they have all of their bank accounts, licenses, and certifications ready to go, that the documentation is available. And as I mentioned, you want to check and see if they specialize not just in a certain product, but in a certain process. So if they have typically done white label and not private label, then you may want to move along and find someone that has specialized in private label, because there are going to be, as we mentioned, very your brand specific things that you want to be able to tweak. You want to be able to change the look, the feel, the customer experience. And so if it's a private label company, or they're more typically doing private label, you're not going to have the option to change all those things. So you want to check their specialization and make sure that there's, they have some some skin in the game and they've got some experience when it comes to doing private label. And then you want to actually verify the shipping to your choice. We talked in the previous slide about actually making that decision. So once the decision is made, then you want to make sure that they're able to get the products safely and most cost effectively to your choice of who's going to ship your items out, whether that's a 3PL, a logistics company, or if that's going to be a prep and fulfillment center, or they're just shipping them, directly to you, and you've got, your own assembly line set up and you're going to get them out the door that way. But you need to have that decision made so that when you're actually going through the process of choosing a manufacturer, you can ask these questions and find out who's going to work best with the process that you would prefer to do.
Right. So Renata has given you a lot of great information. So I'll tell you, there's one more slide that I really wanted to add, and I completely forgot. So I'm just going to, if you want to grab a pen and paper, I just want to point out a couple of things. When you are about to do private label, we talked about the many things that are going to be involved, whether you're taking something that already exists and making modifications to it so it becomes your own product versus the difference between white label, where you take an existing product with no modifications and you just slap your logo on it. So if you decide that you're going to make modifications to it, make sure that you go through the process around trademarking that specific product. If it is something that is truly nuanced, truly going to be unique, different than anything else that's already out on the market that you have developed and are creating, make sure that you establish your brand and if there's some copywriting involved, get that done. Your logo, your colors, your all of the things that are involved in branding. Make sure that you know what the audience is and that you know how to find that audience to put this product in front of, or you decide which platforms you're going to sell this product on. Is it going to be online? Are you going to try to get in retailers? Are you going to focus on, just 100% online? Are you actually going to have some conversations so that you can try to get into Walmart or Target? What is going to be your strategy to be able to sell this product? Those are things you have to think about more so with private label than you do white label. You need to figure that out. You need to make sure that you've pulled all of that together so that you can have a successful private label launch. The time frame in which to get your private label product on the market, on the shelves, can vary. It depends on your manufacturer, where you are in this journey. So if you're starting today, I would sit down and plan for no less than a 3-month runway period. It could be 6 months. So keep those things in mind, because sometimes private label versus white label. Private label is going to take a little bit more time because you're taking something, it is something that is more specific or nuanced than just an existing product where you're just slapping your logo on it. You do have to think about branding and color, and because of the fact that you're going to hopefully do something with this product that you've developed. And if it's something you're developing from scratch, now you've got to go and you've got to get designers involved and engineers, and you've got to get mock-ups and how many pieces are in this thing, and who are the manufacturers and how many different manufacturers are part of this process to produce this amazing product. Or if you're making modifications to it, working with the manufacturer, getting samples back and forth. These are things that you have to think about when you're doing private label, more so than when you're doing white label, because the private label product will be your own. And you need to have a marketing strategy or a plan. Make sure you go out and get those social media assets for whatever this particular product is. So if you develop a brand, and under that brand, so I'm going to give you an example, probably a bad one, but that's okay. So Kraft is a specific brand, but Kraft sells ketchup and Miracle Whip and all these other things, mustard, underneath the Kraft brand. So your brand, think about what it potentially is going to do in the future. So when I immediately think of people that I know, I think of people that have developed a product and said, okay, my product is going to be in this niche. So I'm going to name the brand this name, but I'm going to sell multiple products in that niche. So your brand name and your product do not have to be the same thing. Think about that as you are going along your private label journey. When you establish your brand, what are all the types of products that you're going to potentially either develop or design that will solve a problem or serve a specific niche or market or group of people? So, and then you will potentially sell multiple products under that brand name. So you have to be mindful of everything that you do. Do your research, figure out what your brand colors are going to be, figure out what you're going to call this product, whatever the product happens to be. So I threw some private label product ideas out here. Some of them feel more white label than they do private label, but maybe you have something that's more nuanced. So I'm going to start with the basic one. So I remember water bottles when they first time I think we saw water bottles was, I don't know, for like 20 years ago, maybe 25. And they have evolved considerably. When you look at what a water bottle used to look like and what a water bottle looks like today, they got the stainless steel ones. They've got the ones that keep things cool or hot. They've got them in different sizes. They got them with the little handles on them. Maybe they got a little hook on them. Like these are all specific products. Maybe they're all water bottles, but they are clearly all different and they are unique, and people will put their specific brand name. They will design a modification to an existing water bottle and call it their own, put a brand name on it, and start selling it. So water bottles are still popular because people want to get outside this summer. There's going to be a lot of people that are going to be getting outside this summer. And, you know, they're going to be carrying around their own liquids, especially, you know, we're still dealing with COVID. So they're going to be carrying around their own stuff. They're not going to be able to drink out of a water fountain anywhere if they're out and about. So think about that. Essential oils. Some people really do like the smell, the feel of, you know, essential oils and where you can use them, how you can use them. Party games. Again, people want to get together. They want to congregate. There are some people who are really great at coming up with party games. Maybe you have a party game in mind and you've never sat down to map it out. And then you've got to design it and you've got to figure out what type of material to be on. And, you know, if you're going to have cards or dice, whatever it happens to be, or little pieces that move across on the board game, or maybe there are no pieces and it's just cards and you figure out, you know, the naming convention of it. Like, I don't know, what is it? Something against humanity. What is it? I forget what it is. And then, you know, phone accessories. So many phone accessories. I mean, if you've not seen 50 bajillion cell phone covers and charging cords, all of them are different manufacturers, different private labels. So some of these, you know, and then there are white label that are part of the same grouping where they're just putting your design on something that already exists. You can't make any modifications to it. So think about those types of things. So I have a lot here, and there's so many more that you can think about. But is there an audience that you could serve that you know very, very well, or you're intimately involved with, or you just have maybe worked with them, or that maybe you've sold a boatload of products to a specific group of people, and you're like, oh my gosh, when I sold this, people really loved it. And you paid attention to the feedback. Maybe they had some concerns about the product, maybe they had questions, and maybe you can design and develop an even better product, even going to the existing manufacturer for that product and say, I want you to design something specifically for me. I want you to make these modifications. And you'll probably have to work with their engineer or your own engineer. You have to hire somebody. You want to get a lawyer involved and go through that journey of developing something that's going to be new and different or slightly modified and different, and put your brand on it and throw it out into the marketplace and see what happens. I mean, you're going to do some marketing research before then. So I want you to think through some of these that you see here, because there's a lot of basics to them. Raincoats, rain ponchos. I don't know. I remember what rain ponchos looked like, I don't know, 20, 30 years ago, and what they look like today. They have clearly evolved. People have made enhancements to them, modifications to them, changes to them. And so they're not the same product. So don't think of this list as, oh, these are things that already exist. How many different kinds of water bottles do you see? Seriously. So Renata, what do you want to add to that? I'm sorry.
No problem. I believe you covered quite a bit of it, but as Nicole mentioned, even though you look at the list and it may not look private labelish to you, think of the enhancements and changes that you've seen with the progression over the last several years, and think of what you would like to see in various products. I can't imagine how many times, I'm opening something or closing something or using something, and I think, this could use, and then you fill in the blank. And there's your unique selling proposition that you'll need to get your private label to market.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So we hope this information has been helpful to you. We hope that you'll use it to start your private label journey. All the things to think about. We will make sure that we have a checklist, because I did not put the checklist on here of things that you need to think about for sure when you're on this private label journey that's going to be involved. So we want you to think about that checklist. We'll make it available to eCom Sellers Academy members. But as part of this, we are eCom Sellers Academy, and we want, the most important thing is for you to avoid all the common pitfalls to make sure that you have the best chance for success in launching your product. That includes your private label and white label products. So get the support and guidance that you need along the way. Getting that support is extremely important. We encourage you to join eCom Sellers Academy because we think we're awesome. We know we're awesome and we're good at what we do. So eCom Sellers Academy, we offer twice weekly live Q&A sessions. We're about to have one now in about 30 seconds. And we also offer quarterly coaching calls. So it's your opportunity to sit down with someone with your idea, your concept, schedule some time absolutely free, and get answers to whatever your questions are. So your success matters to us. We encourage you to join eCom Sellers Academy. You can go to www.ecomsellersacademy.com to join us if you're not already a member of eCom Sellers Academy. All right, we're going to say goodbye for now.
Goodbye for now.
All right, so we're going to turn this over to the live Q&A. So if you have any questions, you're in the Facebook group and you have questions, I'm going to stop sharing my screen. We want you to ask those questions right now. So, cancel. So if you'll escape, there we go. Stop sharing. So I'm going to go over to the Facebook group and let's see if we have any questions. So during the live Q&A, it's your opportunity to ask questions right then in the Facebook group right now. Tell us what your questions are. Ask us anything. Ask us anything.
It doesn't have to be related to tonight's training. So if you've got any questions, now's the time to ask those.
Yeah. So ask us anything. Tell us what your questions are, what your concerns are, what challenges you're having, what platform are you selling on, what do you need to know, what information can we give you, what can we share with you? Let us know, because we are here to help you. So all you have to do is just type your questions in the chat. And this is the 8:45 Q&A, which is past 8:45. It's 9:15. But yeah, this is that Q&A opportunity. So at 2 o'clock on Saturdays, there is a separate Q&A link. But on Tuesdays, we just answer questions here in the Facebook group. So we'll answer whatever questions you have. Otherwise, we'll see you, I guess, on Saturday at 2 o'clock. And we can answer your questions there. There's a phone that is going off somewhere in my vicinity. I have way too many phones. Trying to get my phone to stop doing what it's doing. There we go. I have no idea where that phone is. I think it's over in the corner on the other side of it.
Oh, man.
All right, so Renata, what are you working on in your business this week while we wait to see if we have any questions? What are you working on in your business this week?
I'm just listing. I got, actual income producing activities. I've got a lot of things that have gone into my prep center for Memorial Day, July 4th, same products. And I'm actually replenishing some of those this week.
Well, Tony worked, I haven't done the post yet. Last day of school was last Friday, and Friday night, Tony was in there in his Shopify store. He has his front page up. I was like, what's the Sam Hill? I took a picture of him sitting next to me in my office, working on his Shopify store. So I'm so excited. We're planning on launching it in April, but of course I got sidetracked with taxes, which I still have to wrap up. But I got sidetracked, derailed, delayed with taxes. So we didn't get to finish it. But if all goes well, and the Lord says the same, his store will be live by the end of this week. I'm so excited for him. I'm excited for his journey. And then in 2 weeks, we'll be working on Nicholas's products that will be going up on Etsy if the Lord says the same. I pray that he does. It may be ambitious to say 2 weeks, it might be 3, but in any case, it will go up before the end of June. So I'm excited about his stuff as well. So Tony and
awesome.
their way to doing this e-commerce stuff. Well, Tony was doing it before, but he was just helping me with packaging and sticking labels on stuff. And I was trying to teach him how to look up stuff online, but that was not working out for a period of time. So, so I'm excited about all of that.
That's an awesome milestone. Be sure and tell Mr. Tony I said congratulations. I can't wait to see
I'm gonna do. I gotta
product.
do that. Yeah, I gotta get that post up on Facebook. We gotta rename the page, but because it still says Tony and Nick's in the corner, because that's what I, when I got the Shopify thing, I just named it Tony and Nick's, but I need to rename it. But yeah, I'm so excited for him. He's out here doing research on products, but right now he's a little under the weather. So it's only Tuesday. He's got Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Hopefully by Friday he'll have it up, if not Saturday. So we'll see. Like, even if you only got 2 shirts up there or 2 pairs of pants or whatever it is, and then we'll have samples coming in so we can take pictures of him modeling them. So he's into this long sleeve thing. I'm like, Tony, please now, baby. It's hot outside. You in Texas, you're gonna pass out.
His buddy over here is the same way. My youngest, they're into flannels. So all the flannels are long sleeve, and I'm like, aren't you hot? And he'll do a flannel with a vest on top. I'm like,
yeah, I know.
Layering is for the winter.
That's what I told him. I said, you have a hoodie on and a long sleeve shirt over the hoodie. Dude, you need to find that in some super thin material, and you can sell that in your store, because you are making me hot and you're gonna pass out. We can't be going to the store and you're walking through the store and you look like you're about to pass out. I was like, you can't be doing that.
Yeah, that's a great idea. That they want to layer like that. Some real thin material would be great.
Yep. So that's what I told him. I said, we'll have to get thin material. We have to find samples, get samples of that, and then put that in your store. So then that way it will work for the summer. I said, because you're in Texas, you can't be doing all that. That's too much. You're going to pass out and I can't pick you up to save my life. You're just going to be laying there. He'll be like, his mama's not helping. She sure can't. She can't help herself. She got on the floor the other day and couldn't get up. So anyway.
I'm not seeing any questions here.
All right, so we'll leave it at that. If you have any questions, we encourage you to come back, share your questions, let us know what they are, and we are here to help you. So we hope that this training was helpful on your private label journey, and we are going to say goodbye for now.
Goodbye for now.